Hey guys, welcome back. Tech 702, Mike here. Today I picked up the base model of the MacBook Air. It has a 10th gen i3 chip, so let's see if size really matters. So let's talk size. The MacBook Air really just feels like a big tablet almost to me. And why do I say that? Because I have an iPad 12.9 inch. As you can see, pretty much the same dang size. So a lot of you may have the iPad Pro and be wondering about getting the Air, or maybe you have an Air and you're wondering if the tablet can get it done. I'll talk briefly about those comparisons, even though this isn't a head-to-head today, and maybe it'll help you make a buying decision. I compared the MacBook Air to the iPad Pro, but what about a full-size desktop replacement? So the R3 obviously isn't in the same class, but just so you can see comparatively, it is truly like apples and oranges when you're shopping here. So the year is 2020 and we're all about portability, but also tactile feel and ergonomics. So this iPad Air, I can literally one-hand it. Now, obviously I'm not gonna operate it that way, and neither with you, but the fact that you can maintain this in one hand and control the whole device is kind of crazy, right? I love the fact that it has the clamshell design. So it's tapered right there, which makes it more comfortable than even the MacBook Pro. When you set your wrist on it, it's more of an angle. So I enjoy that feature. It only has the 2 ports on the side here, the Thunderbolt ports. However, because of the way that works, you can hook up dongles on dongles on dongles and get all your stuff set up. Here's an example. Also, there's still a headphone jack, so that's nice as well. Super light. It only has a single fan in it, and the way it's vented is not as efficient as the MacBook Pro. So your hope for running the i3 is that we're running at a lower temperature, not as task intensive, and as a result of that, the temperature should stay down. Let's go over some of the stats. So let's start with the specs. It's a MacBook Air 2020 model. It's an i3 10th generation Intel chip at 1.1 gigahertz. It's only a dual core. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM for memory and 256 gigabytes of SSD. So let's go ahead and run some benchmarks for you. It's just an i3 base model, but let's check it out. It stayed cool around 60 degrees when browsing and doing light stuff. In Geekbench 5, we had a 1025 single core, 1727 multi-core. Very competitive on the single core side. Obviously the temperature jumped up to about 100, but the fans were pretty quiet. We jumped into Cinebench, super competitive, faster than the old i5. As a 2-core 4-thread, it's right where you would expect it to be at a 626. So based upon those specs, as I mentioned earlier, the iPad Pro would be actually a little superior as far as video rendering and something like LumaFusion, but for most other tasks, the MacBook Air holds its own. And last but not least, it has the complimentary potato cam, 720p shooter. So the MacBook Air 2020, is the i3 good enough, and who is it for? I think it is. If you're doing standard tasks, if you're going to school, a teacher, a homemaker, anything like that, or you're just a browser, this computer more than gets it done, and you're ensured to have the quality between the 10th gen chip and the fact that it's Apple hardware. So you're gonna get a good value out of that. I will say that if you're gonna do photo or video intensive tasks, maybe look at the MacBook Pro. And according to what a lot of the other creators are showing me, upgrading to the i5 or the i7 or some of the other options that you have, it's just not worth it. If you're gonna get the MacBook Air, I recommend going with the base model. If you need more than that, then just go ahead and step up to the $1,200 MacBook Pro. That's probably your best bet. Again, I never tell you what to buy, but these are my recommendations, and I'm pretty solid with my logic on this one. But if you're in the market and you need a quality laptop that's under $1,000, look at the MacBook Air. It's awesome. If this video was helpful to you guys in any way, if you could do me a favor and just go ahead and like the video. Also, if you'd subscribe to the channel, I have a lot more MacBook stuff coming up in the short run, and then a lot of the new phones coming out at the end of the summer and fall. So go ahead and subscribe. Everybody stay safe out there. I appreciate your time, and I'm out of here.